O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Rahur quit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
When we look at an architectural blueprint, we expect, cold, hard logic, right? Load-bearing walls and electrical grids all mapped out just to keep a physical roof from caving in.
Yeah, exactly. It's just quantifiable logic.
Right. But what happens when you apply that exact same rigid precision to, dismantling a human ego? Because that is exactly what we are decoding today in this deep dive into a primary source manuscript of Aleister Crowley's personal notes.
And we are really looking at how he engineered this thing he called scientific illuminism. So the document tracks his shift from traditional elemental magic into this incredibly intense non-dualistic formula known as N.O.X, or the Night of Pan.
Which is wild. And if you're wondering why we are treating an occult manuscript like a structural blueprint, well, it is because Crowley designed this as a literal psychological mechanism for ego death. And to understand how it operates, we actually have to start with the math of all things.
Oh, the math is fascinating here. The document breaks down the N.O.X formula using gematria. That is, essentially assigning numerical values to words to find hidden connections. And it equates N.O.X to the number 210.
Right, which it specifically points out is 7 times 6 times 5.
Exactly. And those integers correspond to the adept grades in his system. But then the text introduces this, really cryptic fraction of 70 over 333. So 70 represents the I, and 333 is Karanzan. And I should clarify, Karanzan isn't a literal demon with a pitchfork.
Right, it's not some cartoon villain.
No, not at all. It basically represents the psychological state of total fragmentation and distraction that guards the mystical state known as the abyss.
So you cannot just casually stroll past Karanzan. Think of the 7 times 6 times 5 formula like smelting metal. You take these distinct raw ores, the lower grades of knowledge, and you throw them into a furnace until they melt down and fuse into a single unbreakable alloy. That alloy is 210.
I mean, that is a perfect analogy, because the math here is literally dictating the psychology. The number 210 represents reducing duality, like you and the outside world, down to a pure unity and then ultimately to a zero state.
But, a math concept on a piece of paper cannot just shatter your ego on its own. Your brain needs physical kinesthetic feedback to actually feel that zero state.
Right, it's to be embodied.
Exactly. So the notes outline these physical hieroglyphs, which are ritual signs that force the body into specific postures to trigger profound psychological shifts.
And the sequence moves through this incredibly intense embodied cognition. It starts off really aggressive with a posture called Pure, invoking the warlike god Mentu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then Veer, where you literally make the horns of Pan. But then it forces this massive shift through the abyss into total vulnerability with Puella, which is a posture of shrinking modesty. And then Mulier, representing Babylon using a spread eagle cross posture, finally sealing the ritual with Mater Triumphans, which mimics Isis suckling Horus.
Wait, hold on. I am stuck on this. If the ultimate goal is total spiritual surrender, this vulnerable, receptive state, why is he starting the ritual by invoking a warlike god and making horns? Doesn't aggression just build the ego up instead of breaking it down?
Well, that contradiction is the actual mechanism. Because to achieve true ego death, the text suggests you cannot just passively relax. You have to ritualistically act out both extremes. You literally become both the all-begetter and the all-devourer.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right, so when you physically force your body into absolute aggression and then immediately drop into the extreme vulnerability of a spread eagle cross, the isolated ego simply cannot hold its shape. The physiological tension shatters it, turning your sense of self into a literal pile of dust.
See, when you hear shattering the ego into dust, you probably picture a dark temple with chanting and heavy incense.
Oh, for sure, like a movie set.
Yeah, but Crowley explicitly integrated this intense magic into totally mundane daily life. The manuscript actually includes a 1916 letter to his student, Frater Akkad, detailing a specific dining ritual.
Yeah. Before eating a normal meal, the practitioner performs a 3-5-3 knock.
Yeah.
And then they recite the phrase, "It is my will to eat and drink, that I may accomplish the great work."
Which completely redefines mindfulness, right? Today, you might use a meditation app for 10 minutes to distress, but Crowley is taking the basic biological act of eating dinner and using it to actively re-engineer reality.
And what is even crazier is he explicitly instructs a CAD to perform these small ceremonies in crowded thoroughfares, like a busy restaurant.
I mean, that takes some nerve.
Definitely. It is about building the iron concentration and moral courage needed to survive those ego-shattering higher grades. The trivial daily routine becomes the actual training ground.
It really makes you realize Crowley's N.O.X system was a rigorous 24/7 psychophysical discipline, and it teaches that the Night of Pan isn't actually darkness at all, right? The text calls it a light ineffable.
Yes, it is a light so intensely bright and so completely overwhelming that it simply appears dark to the uninitiated eye.
Wow. So here's a thought for you to take away today. If an act as mundane as eating dinner can be transformed into a ritual step toward dismantling the self, what trivial, everyday habit of yours is secretly shaping your ultimate reality? We started by talking about blueprints for the ego. Maybe the most load-bearing walls in your own mind are not your grand beliefs, but the quiet, everyday routines you do not even notice.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder who is actually architecting your daily routine.